Prince Harry has been throwing his family under them one by one. That last night, I mentioned he's got this book coming out. He recounted a physical altercation he had in which his brother William beat him up pretty badly. And today we got another bit of tid that says at William and Kate's wedding, Harry was suffering from a frostbitten penis, for real. He admitted this. He got frostbite on an expedition to the North Pole. He wrote, upon arriving home, I'd been horrified to discover that my nether regions were frost-nipped, while the ears and cheeks were already healing, the todger wasn't. It's very British to refer your penis as a todger, and very scary. You know, without a functioning todger, it's impossible to Roger. You can't Roger with a dodgy todger. It's very well documented, but when you really examine the video, I want you to listen closely here because it makes a lot more sense.
I froze my todger. Psst, Harry froze his todger.
Dearly beloved, Prince Harry's hot dog is now a very, very cold dog, as he has frozen his todger. Amen. Please rise, since Harry's royal wiener cannot.
How do we not catch that the first time around? He said,
taking a general view of the entertainment industry, particularly with talk shows, there's almost no limit to how far they could go with their reports and descriptions. And in the case of Jimmy Kimmel, it seems he just might have crossed the line with his most recent reports about Prince Harry, as the Duke of Sussex doesn't seem to be taking things lightly. However, the emphasis of this whole story is more on what the Duke has decided to do in his bid to take revenge. And you won't believe how far this unspoken battle between these television celebrities has now gone, because I promise you will be in shock. Seeing as these small details are just the tip of the iceberg, trust me, you don't want to miss any part of this video, so stay tuned till the end. Generally, most people would agree that while a lot of the news that hit the media are up for grabs in the entertainment industry, Jimmy Kimmel has decided to take things up a notch. While he and the prince have had some sort of unspoken bad blood over the past couple of months, the talk show host has now come out with yet another impression of a story that Prince Harry has told the world. A couple of hours ago, during one of his late-night shows, Kimmel referenced a particularly unpleasant experience Prince Harry claimed to have had in relation to his brother's wedding. As the leaks from the royal's forthcoming memoir make the rounds, one bit of bodily overshare has grabbed a large percentage of headlines. It's funny, yes, but there's something else going on. While most of the other revelations that have come from Prince Harry have been pretty unexpected, one of the most genuinely jarring bits has been the corporeal candor that Prince Harry took in writing the book. The Duke of Sussex didn't bring this detail about his most private parts up out of nowhere in the book, which has dominated headlines nearly everywhere since the first excerpts of it leaked on Wednesday. There was context. The context was that before the wedding of his brother and Kate Middleton in April 2011, Harry had been on a charity expedition to the North Pole, where he'd walked 200 miles across the Arctic landscape alongside fellow soldiers who'd served in Afghanistan. The thing about walking 200 miles across the Arctic landscape is that your extremities will possibly suffer, and his did. Harry's ears, cheeks, and even his privates got frostbitten. The frostbite healed as the Duke returned to England's gentler climes, and most were well in time for the big royal wedding. But, as would be expected, the most extreme of his extremities took a little longer to get back to normal. So, he reportedly writes, as he walked down that aisle of Westminster in support of his brother's new chapter in life, his todger was ailing. Anyway, considering details like this are inevitably headline materials, Jimmy Kimmel decided to jump on this story in one episode of his show. And boy did he make fun of the prince. Kimmel played a recording of the event that Harry had described where he had to attend his brother's wedding with frostbitten privates. But Kimmel, being a comedian, made a different version of the whole story, with voiceovers being played featuring conversations about Harry's privates in the entire hall. In fact, in Kimmel's description, there was also a dedicated song by the choir about Harry's disaster. This whole thing by Jimmy Kimmel about the prince is what has now caused a new level of uproar on the internet, but there's no denying that the story itself was funny. However, the big freeze is not the only bit of body horror that has made headlines in this memoir. The other one, the one that has been considered deeply funny and sad and has also been the topic of several social media conversations since yesterday, is the moment after their grandfather Prince Philip's funeral, when the boys and their father, King Charles III, convened in the family cemetery to talk about Harry and Meghan's decision to defect to America. It was a moment when Harry felt misunderstood, and worse, as though no one was even trying to understand him. He reportedly writes, "I looked at Willie, really looked at him, perhaps for the first time since we were little, taking in every detail. His familiar scowl, which had always been the norm in his dealings with me. William was balding, Harry noted, and it was more advanced than mine. That's a great burn to levy between brothers. But then this, Harry noted that with the balding, William's resemblance to their late mother had faded. Harry's brother was, in a way, unrecognizable to him. And what's more horrifying than that? The person who is perhaps the only one who has access to what you went through, the struggles of the monarchy, having those expectations, the tragedy of losing their mother, fading into something different, something balder. William had aged out of the thing, his hair, and thus the resemblance, that had made him a bridge to what came before, and what's worse, he's Harry's big brother. These moments, first with the frostbite and then with the hairline, make it seem as though Harry's masculinity, and more so his humanity, is at stake in the writing of Spare. These parts are when the book, which we should remember few people outside of Spain have been able to read cover to cover, seems most like an exposé so far, especially when paired with the Sussex's Oprah interview and their Netflix documentary. However, it seems the impression of the whole thing that Jimmy Kimmel gave might have been a little overboard. And this theory is even clearer because this isn't even the first time Kimmel has shamed the prince for his revelations. This week alone, specifically, Prince Harry's memoir was mocked by the same US TV host in a skit reenacting his alleged fight with the Prince of Wales. The Duke of Sussex's book Spare was not due to be released until Tuesday, January 10th, but copies of the ghost's written biography were mistakenly sold 5 days early in bookshops in Spain. In one excerpt from the tell-all memoir, Prince Harry references an alleged row with his brother in the kitchen of Nottingham Cottage, London, where he lived with Meghan following their engagement, in which Harry claimed Prince William grabbed him by the collar and threw him to the floor, shattering a dog bowl in the process. Talk show host Jimmy Kimmel offered his interpretation of the allegation in a sketch titled Two Princes, a true story on his chat show Jimmy Kimmel Live. The skit sees actors dressed as pop star princes in purple feather boas and velvet robes, portraying the Duke of Sussex and the Prince of Wales. In the opening of the scene, Prince William flicks his hair out of his eyes before dramatically slamming a glass of water onto the worktop of the kitchen set. He refers to Prince Harry as a slur before launching himself at him in a fit of rage. The narrator, who provides a voiceover to the sketch with excerpts from the Duke of Sussex's book, says William set down the water. Then he called me another name. Then he came at me, and we tussled. Prince William is seen grabbing the Duke of Sussex by the collar and ripping off his necklace, laughing maniacally before pushing his brother to the ground. Prince Harry lands, with flailing arms, on a dog bowl, spilling biscuits all over the floor of the kitchen. In the background of the shot, the narrator says, "I landed on the dog's bowl, which cracked under my back. The piece is cutting into me. He mocked me." The skit, which now has more than 15,000 likes on Twitter, ends with Prince Harry playing a riff on a purple electric guitar as the Prince of Wales covers his ears in pain. The camera zooms in on a 2018 calendar of the late Queen Elizabeth II before panning to the two princes taking a bow as flowers are thrown at them. In Spare, Prince Harry reveals he scraped his back and was left with bruises following the fight. The Duke has also spoken about the alleged row with his brother in an interview with ITV's Tom Bradby, which was due to be aired on Sunday, January 8th. In a clip from the interview released on Friday, January 6th, Prince Harry describes how he saw red mist in the Prince of Wales during the fight. He said, "What was different here was the level of frustration, and, I talk about the red mist that I had for so many years, and I saw this red mist in him. He wanted me to hit him back, but I chose not to." Despite the allegations made in his memoir, Prince Harry claims to want to reconcile with his family. He tells Bradby the door is always open. The ball is in their court. There's a lot to be discussed, and I really hope that they are willing to sit down and talk about it. Well, these comedic recreations by Jimmy Kimmel seem to have had the effect he intended on people, as several of them found it pretty hilarious, and they have been talking about it. One user wrote, "Oh my god, this is utterly hilarious. How can one wake up in the morning and readers see that one is the laughingstock of the world? How do you keep saving your face, walking with your head held high?" Well, Harry himself hasn't publicly come out to say anything about Kimmel's move yet, but considering that the prince isn't historically a fan of letting things slide, he just might come up with a few words soon. Anyway, that's it for this video. Goodbye.